This is my Amigx my podcast.
Hey, my friends, ready to dive into how AI is transforming music? We're serving up sharp and concise ideas, all from a musical perspective. Tune in and let's explore the future together. And now, to guide us into tomorrow, here are our AI hosts.
Just my podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about trigger cities. And no, I don't mean those cities that just make you want to like rage quit the game of life or something. We're talking about these kind of surprising cities around the world that are actually like launching these global music careers. And trust me, this is way more fascinating than it sounds. We are going deep into this report from Chartmetric. They're like the music analytics masterminds. And let me tell you, they are dropping some serious knowledge bombs in this report about how these cities are like shaping the future of music. So, what exactly IAPS a trigger city? Think about it kind of like this. You throw a rock into a pond, right? You get that splash. Well, that's the new artist that breaks through in one of these cities.
Yeah.
But it's the ripples spreading out that are the really interesting part.
Yeah, that's the organic buzz. You get all the fans that are getting hooked, sharing it with their friends, posting about it on social media. That initial wave of excitement that gets things really rolling.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So it's not just about being a big city. It's got to have like this perfect storm of ingredients to really make it work.
Exactly. That city's gonna have like a diverse music taste, people who practically live on streaming services, and like these energetic, interconnected communities that are always hungry for the next thing. That's the magic formula for a trigger city.
So they're like tastemakers, but on like a global scale. And this report actually pinpoints 30 of these hotspots and groups them by region. So first up, Latin America. They've got more trigger cities than any other region, which isn't really a surprise.
No, not really. I mean, think about it. Latin America has this deep culture of music sharing. You've got a really young population that is super plugged into the latest trends, and then that common language really helps the music travel across borders. It's really a breeding ground for these global hits.
Yeah, it really is. And we're not just talking theory here. The report actually uses the Afrobeats artist Ira Star as like a prime example.
Oh yeah, she blew up in Latin America. And it's not a coincidence at all. I mean, she was collaborating with reggaeton heavy hitters like Rauw Alejandro. It was a really smart strategy that helped her tap into this existing fan base and then launch her track Santa onto the global charts.
But like, it's not just luck.
Right.
There's some real strategy involved in like harnessing that trigger city energy. And speaking of strategy, let's head east to Asia. According to the report, it's a little bit of a mixed bag over there.
Yeah, you've got India, which has always been like a major player, but there are stricter media regulations over there that are starting to kind of shift its influence.
Okay, interesting. So where's all the action at now?
Southeast Asia is having a major moment right now. That's where you're seeing those really niche genres find these surprisingly massive audiences. Like take funk music, for example. You know? That dark, gritty electronic sound. Well, it's huge in Southeast Asia, but it actually originated in Argentina.
Wait, seriously? Argentina to Southeast Asia? That's wild.
Yeah. It really just goes to show how unpredictable this whole global music landscape can be. The report highlights this Argentinian artist, S3BZS, who's totally killing it in the funk scene. 42% of his listeners are in Asia.
Whoa, talk about global reach. Okay, so from that vibrant energy of Latin America to those dynamic shifts in Asia, we're really seeing how these trigger cities are reshaping the music map. So next up, we're hopping across the pond over to Europe. Now, they love their music, but it sounds like they're a bit more discerning over there.
Yeah, the report talks about how Europe has super high streaming rates, but they can be a little more gate-kept in their tastes compared to other regions.
Yeah, that makes sense. But there are always exceptions to the rule, right?
Of course. Spain, with its ties to Latin America, that's one. Istanbul is another one. It's kind of similar to Asian markets in how open it is to more global sounds.
It's really fascinating how those cultural connections can create these pockets of receptivity. But it's not all sunshine and global beats in Europe.
Yeah.
The report also highlights that good old-fashioned pop music still has some serious staying power.
Oh, absolutely. Artists like Benson Boone, who's totally blowing up in Northern Europe right now, just go to show that those catchy melodies still have a ton of power.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so from those heartfelt ballads to those earworm pop anthems, it seems like there's a trigger city out there for every single genre. And speaking of diversity, let's jump across the Atlantic over to the United States. I mean, it's a melting pot of culture, so it kind of makes sense that they'd be more open to sounds from all over the world, right?
Exactly. The U.S. has these massive diaspora populations, so there's an incredible appetite for global music. And you can't forget about the power of social media here. Trends can catch fire and spread like wildfire here in the States.
Oh yeah, for sure. So give us an example. How has a lesser-known artist been able to use the U.S. as a trigger city?
We'll take Royal Otis, for example. They're this indie band from Australia. And their covers of 90s hits actually went viral online here in the States. It proves that American audiences are totally down to embrace fresh takes on things, even if they come from unexpected places.
I love that about music. It can break down barriers and connect people across cultures like that.
It really is a shared human experience.
It is. And speaking of unexpected connections, we're heading down under to Oceania, the land of sunshine and surf and surprisingly strong K-pop fans.
It's true. Australia is really interesting. They have that urban density you find in a lot of trigger cities. But they're also seeing this growing Asian influence, which means that K-pop is absolutely massive over there. Groups like 50/50 and Ella Seraphim are like constantly topping the charts. It's a prime example of how those diaspora communities are having a huge impact on the music scene, even outside of the US.
It's crazy, right? I mean, you've got Argentinian funk blowing up in Southeast Asia, Australian indie bands finding love in the US. It just goes to show that the next big hit could honestly come from anywhere.
Yeah, and that's what makes these trigger cities so exciting. It's not even just about the music itself. It's about the doors that these cities are opening for artists who, might not have had a shot in the traditional music industry.
Yeah, totally. So it's like these cities are kind of leveling the playing field a bit, giving artists from all over the globe a fighting chance to connect with a global audience.
Precisely. And, the report doesn't just identify the cities. It actually lays out some really practical strategies for artists and marketers and even those talent scouts to actually, tap into this whole thing. It's like a playbook for how to navigate this whole new world of global music.
Okay, so walk us through it. What are some of the key takeaways from this playbook?
Well, remember how we were talking about that organic buzz that's at the heart of a trigger city?
Yeah.
Well, while organic growth is essential, a really well-placed social media campaign can really amplify everything.
So you're saying it's more than just throwing up a few random ads and crossing your fingers?
Way more. It's about understanding the city, what are their tastes, what are their cultural references, even their sense of humor. That stuff matters. You can partner with influencers, make ads that actually resonate with the local culture, even create content in their language. All of that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. It's about meeting the fans where they're at, right? Showing them that you get it. And so much of music discovery these days happens online. But what about playlists? Those feel really crucial.
They are massive. Landing on the right playlists in these cities is huge. And I'm not even just talking about those massive global playlists, although those definitely help. But those smaller, more locally focused playlists, especially the ones that are curated by tastemakers in those cities, those can be even more impactful for artists.
It's like getting an endorsement from the cool kids in school. Suddenly everyone wants to know what you're all about.
Exactly. It just shows how important those local communities really are to an artist's success. And then there's also, radio.
Oh, wow. In the digital age, I honestly wouldn't have even thought about radio, but it makes total sense.
Oh, yeah. It's still a cornerstone in so many of these trigger cities. Getting that radio play can seriously make or break an artist.
Yeah, it could. So this is all gold, especially for up-and-coming artists. But what about the people who are actually discovering and signing those artists, the talent scouts, the A&Rs? Are they catching on to this whole trigger city thing?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. According to this report, it's not enough for these A&Rs to just hang out in their usual industry hubs and hope to just stumble upon the next big thing
Yeah.
They need to be paying attention to these trigger cities. They need to be on the ground, listening to the buzz, seeing where that organic engagement is happening naturally.
So instead of going to where they think the talent is, they need to go to where the talent is already bubbling up.
Exactly. They need to be looking for those early signs of that breakout potential. The artists who are already generating that critical mass of fans in these key cities, it's about recognizing that power of those local scenes.
It's like the music industry is finally catching up to how we're actually experiencing music today, globally and digitally connected, with those unexpected influences popping up from all over.
It's a complete paradigm shift, and this report is like a roadmap for understanding how to navigate it. Forget those old school notions of breaking into the industry. It's all about tapping into those organic connections, recognizing the power of those ripples that start small and then spread outwards, turning a local buzz into a global phenomenon.
It's exciting, right? Knowing that the next big hit could come from anywhere, that there are these hidden musical gems just waiting to be discovered in every corner of the world. And it's not just about the industry side of things. For music lovers like you and me, it just makes the whole listening experience that much richer.
Absolutely. Music has this incredible power to transcend borders, to connect people in ways that nothing else can. And these trigger cities, they're like cultural bridges, those points of intersection where those global conversations are happening through music.
The world is shrinking, not in a bad way, but in the sense that we're all becoming more interconnected, more exposed to different cultures and sounds. And it's all happening organically, driven by passion of artists and fans.
And the most exciting part, this is just the beginning. This whole Trigger City phenomenon is still evolving, and who knows what the future holds, what new genres will emerge, what unexpected connections will be made. It's an open invitation to keep exploring, discovering, and being surprised by the power of music.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into Trigger Cities. But before we go, we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder.
We've talked a lot about how these trigger cities are shaping the future of music, but what about other industries? Could the same concept apply to fashion, food, technology? Are there trigger cities out there influencing the trends we see in our everyday lives?
It's a fascinating question. As we become more globally interconnected, it makes you wonder what's the next frontier for trigger cities, and what unexpected corners of the world will surprise us next. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the heart of the global music scene. Until next time, keep your playlist diverse, stay curious, and who knows, maybe you'll discover the next Trigger City hit.
This is my Amigx, your smart podcast.